in London. Is that right?
Okay, we are back in open session, and I declare we only discussed the items that were on the closed meeting agenda. So we are moving on with our agenda, and we have two delegations. And the first one, 7.1, is Westario Power. And we have Ron Clark with Aird Burles LLP, and we also have Wally Malcolm, the president and CEO of Westario here. So, Ron, the floor is yours for your presentation.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Very pleased to be here on behalf of Westario as legal counsel to Westario through Westario Power Inc. through the process that led to this important day in terms of a transaction involving the sale of the shares of Westario by the municipal shareholders and the one non-municipal shareholder to Earth Corporation. And I will again share my screen and hope we can get there. Again, hoping that's legible. Is that showing up?
Yes, it is.
Excellent. Okay, so talk a bit about the process and the key legal agreements. There's a little cheat sheet of the acronyms and short forms that we'll be using. This is a timeline of the process to get to where we are today. The shareholders of Westario, I want to emphasize this is a shareholder-led process by all of the shareholders of Westario that delegated to the board of directors, Westario, who in turn created a transaction committee to explore or to initiate a process to sell 100% of the shares of Westario. So this was a competitive process that involved multiple bidders at different times and at different points in the process. Initially, quite a few, but then narrowed down. But competitive pressures were brought to bear to ensure that the Westario shareholders received the best possible bid and entered into the best possible transaction. And the board of directors and management and myself as well, and the financial advisors are all comfortable that in the selection of Earth Corporation and the negotiation and finalization of the share purchase agreement, that we have a transaction that benefits all stakeholders, including the shareholders of Westario, including Hanover, including the ratepayers and the employees as well. So that gets us, that's up to the present date. And so what's in front of you is the share purchase agreement and entry into that to move forward with the transaction and commit to move forward with the transaction. The timing of the actual implementation is that once the agreement is executed, approved by all municipalities, you've already got approval by the board and recommendation to move forward. The transaction will be subject to approval by the Ontario Energy Board. So it'll be submitted following execution of the share purchase agreement. The transaction will be submitted to the Ontario Energy Board, and that's an oral hearing that may last many months. And interveners and stakeholders are allowed to appear before the Ontario Energy Board to submit their views on the transaction. We're comfortable that it's a beneficial transaction for all concerned. The Ontario Energy Board applies what they call a no harm test, ensuring that the transaction does not harm ratepayers. And we believe that this transaction will be approved because not only does it not harm ratepayers, it actually benefits ratepayers and other stakeholders. So we're comfortable that we'll obtain that OEB approval in the spring of 2026, following which the transaction will close and the purchase price, the funds will be transferred, paid, and the shares and ownership will transfer to the purchaser, Earth Corporation. So this is the transaction structure as it is currently, with Hanover holding 15.9% of Westario Power Inc. And the transaction structure post-closing will look like this. You'll see Earth Corporation is 100% municipally owned by small and medium-sized municipalities, also in southwestern Ontario. It holds an existing electricity distribution corporation and a corporation that focuses on unregulated businesses. And then Westerio Power will also be a sister company for a period of 3 years, and then there'll be a merger with Earth at that point. However, the rate protection extends for 5 years beyond that. There's an extensive share purchase agreement with which contains all of these protections in it, which are all legally binding. There's some closing adjustments, but ultimately we do have a sense of what the purchase price will be. An important part of this is that during the interim period, there'll be protections for the purchaser mostly to ensure that Westerio is run in the ordinary course and there aren't any unusual transactions. That's understandable. But an important protection for the shareholders is that dividends will be payable as they have been previously throughout that interim period, right up until closing. There are important post-closing covenants in the share purchase agreement as well that protect the jobs of Westerio employees. Maintain customer electricity rates only increases the rate of inflation. Standards of service, maintaining administration and operations facilities within what will be the former Westerio service territory at a certain point. There'll be an advisory committee to ensure that the transition occurs smoothly. There'll be a 24-hour remote control room, emergency and remote control room. Commitment to continue partnerships and collaborations with local community charities, consistent with the way Westerio has done this up till now. And then there'll be importantly, a right to appoint a director by the shareholders, former shareholders of Westerio, on the Earth board from the Westerio service region. So even though Westerio shareholders will no longer own equity in the utility or in Earth, there's still that right to appoint a director on the board of Earth, and that's quite an innovative right, I would say. There'll be no tax payable, which is often a question that occurs. There are exemptions that apply here to transfer tax and departure tax, which would have been payable under the Electricity Act. So those will not be payable here. And as I say, comfortable in recommending this transaction. The board of directors has considered it and made the recommendation to all the shareholders to proceed with the transaction. And management has as well, and you have that recommendation in front of you and that resolution in your materials.
Okay,
that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Council, any comments or questions for this presentation? Deputy Mayor Dickert.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Ron, for the information. The 8-year rate freeze, that just applies to the distribution costs. It doesn't apply to the actual energy charges, or is it inclusive?
Yeah, that's a great question. The electricity distribution charges on the electricity bill are only about 20% or so of the whole. The commitment does relate only to that portion that's controllable by the electricity distributor. So that's the electricity distribution charges, and it's that 20% figure. The other charges, such as the payment for the actual commodity, regulatory charges, transmission, et cetera, are out of the control of the distribution company, and the rate freeze does not apply to those.
And the rate for the distribution can be adjusted by the inflationary. Is there any cap on that, or is just whatever? Is it CPI? Is it the Ontario rate? Do you know what rate they use for that?
I believe it's Consumer Price Index. Yeah.
Other questions? Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm wondering if you can tell me the director that's appointed, how long of a term will that be?
There'll be regular term review. Thank you for that question. there'll be an appointment for the regular term limits. I believe it's 2 terms, but they can renew, and that'll be up to the shareholders of Westerio to renew as long as they see fit.
Other questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Because I'm not familiar with this, perhaps you can shed a little light on the community contributions, that your expectation is that we still are able to utilize that. Can you fill me in on what perhaps has been used in the past? What examples for our particular town?
Absolutely. Excellent question. If I can pass it over to Wally Malcolm, who I believe is with you, he'll have a good sense of the history of Westerio's contributions to the community in the past.
Through the mayor, it says don't move. Through the mayor, excellent question. So the contributions that Westerio Power currently makes is in the amount of $25,000, and it's spread out through all the number of communities within Westerio's service territories. There's a variety of different things like Santa Claus parades, ice rink times, different events that occur within each municipality. That's where that money goes to. So there's a application process that charitable organizations contact us. We take a look at those, and then we disperse the funds as required.
So can anyone tell me what we've perhaps used in the past or applied for?
Individual organizations.
I believe the Westerio Power has sponsored public skates of late for the
That's
town of
correct.
Hanover. I just don't know if you're on our current skating sponsorship list for 2025, 2026, but I do know they have sponsored public skates in the past.
Yeah, and what we can do is we'll provide you with the list.
That'd be good. Thank you. I do know the hospital has received some funding, so. Other comments or questions? Go ahead, Councillor Hudson.
Sorry, I just have one more. So the director on the board, are they reimbursed in any way, or is there a stipend paid to them, or is it a strictly volunteer position?
Through the mayor, it would be a paid position. It's with Earth Power's normal practice for their directors.
Okay, nothing online? So, and nothing in the chambers. So we do have a motion that's on your desk. A rather lengthy but necessary and important motion. And I'm not going to read it all because I wouldn't have a voice by the time we're done. But I am going to say there's a lot of whereases. And then it says, now therefore be it resolved that the corporation of the town of Hanover hereby approves the transaction, that the town is authorized to enter into the purchase agreement and the related agreements substantially in the form presented. I need a mover and seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Cable, seconded by Deputy Mayor Dickert. Any further comments or questions? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. And thank you, Ron.
Thank you all.
Okay, so we're going to move on to our next delegation. And this is an update on the Hanover Police Building. And we have Plus VG Architects with us. And we have, I'm going to let Plus VG introduce themselves, because the names are the same on a couple. So please go ahead. On 3 of them. It's all you, Vanessa.
Good afternoon, Your Worship. My name is Paul Sapunzi. I'm the owner of the Venton Group Architects, who did your building, as well as the theater a couple of years ago. And it's beautiful to see that council chambers. You're taking great shape. You're taking great care of it. I'd like to also introduce my colleague, the owner of RPL Architects, who's been working with us, as well as Vanessa Sanchez, who is working with the Venton Group. I'd like to thank the committee that's been guiding us, and especially Chief Knoll. We've come a long way with the design. So I must say that John has an appointment at 5:30. So whatever he can't get through, we'll take over. I'll take it over. And I'll turn it over if we can share our screen. Who's got our screen? Is it you, Vanessa?
I can share it, Paul.
Okay, John, you go ahead.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Your Worship, we'll go through a quick presentation here. I'm John Pepper, President of RPL Architects, police consultants collaborating with Paul and his company. So can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so Paul, would you like to take over and just talk a little bit about the exterior architectural approach that we've taken? We've got this slide, and then we've got the slide after this.
Okay, thanks, John. So we'll get into the interior design of the building. For the exterior design, I recognize that with the addition of the police station and the original theater and the library and the municipal building, we're developing a campus of buildings on site. So I've shown, Vanessa has shown for me some pictures of the existing building above, the theater. The next is the new addition and the existing building, and the theater as well again. And you've definitely got a certain flavor of architecture. It's classical, red brick building. The theater is a more Art Deco type of building, but they're really all kind of a very sympathetic language. And the addition that we did back in 1800, I can't remember, we had it's very, very in line with what we've done, what was there originally. So the police station, which is the image below, we thought that it would be nice to carry that on and create a very dignified building, which is very solid. It's made of brick. The central area is dignified building. It has lots of windows. And I think ultimately it's going to really blend in with all of the buildings there. It's not going to be something new or sticking out or contemporary. It's going to be dignified, and I think the design will last for as long as the original design of the heritage components have lasted. So I don't know if there's any more images of this, Vanessa?
That's the only one of the outside.
Okay, so I'll turn it over to John. There, yeah, there's the next slide. And we can put in a sign and name the building. And it's very, very durable material that you're not going to have to maintain at all for several decades. The building could last for as long as you need it to, based on how much you maintain it. I'll turn it over to John to go through the floor plans, please.
Yeah, thank you. So the blue area represents the new construction. At the right-hand side, we have the existing fire hall, which would be demolished as part of this project. And as Paul described above it, we have the existing civic building and theater. The site to the south on 9th Street is the existing church, and there's another existing church building to the east. So the blue area represents the new building that was shown in the previous slide. And the light blue area is an area that is allocated to police operational vehicles. The public entry into the building will be from 10th Avenue. The principal view that you saw on the previous slides. Police staff entry and operational entry would be from the south side of the building. I'm not sure if you're seeing my cursor, but it would be in this area here. It's important operationally that police vehicles do not get blocked in. So the primary entry point would be from 10th Avenue into this enclosed compound, but there would be a second emergency egress southwards through an easement negotiated with the owners of the church to the south, and that would lead police vehicles through to 9th Street in case the entry on 10th Avenue ever got compromised. So the building fits in between the existing buildings, the existing compound of mechanical equipment that's here. And we'll go have a look at the interior. So the green area represents the portion of the building that would be accessible to the public from the west. The yellow area above shows where we have provided emergency egress from the existing building through a common corridor and leading to a new set of stairs that would accommodate emergency egress from both buildings. And the blue area or grayish blue area represents the secure part of the police building. On this level, we have an elevator that is accessed both from the common corridor at ground level and from the police side. So that can be controlled through a card access system to provide secure access, if necessary, to the upper level. The lower level of the police building is primarily allocated to operational components. We have an office where the constables would work and do their reports. Off the public lobby, we have space for the probation officer. We have an area for virtual court. Secure front counter here would be designed to be, open and accessible and approachable, but still maintain the appropriate level of security. And off the public lobby, there's a public use washroom, so that anyone who's just coming in for inquiries or a short visit has somewhere has an amenity to use. Off the public lobby, we have an interview room or a meeting room that would be used for meeting with members of the public, for interviewing or getting information from victims of crime or witnesses. But this is non-custodial. At the other end of the building is our in-custody area. So there are a number of secure detention cells, an area for booking and prisoner management with all the required fingerprinting and photography equipment and things like that that are necessary to the safe handling of prisoners. Prisoners would be brought into this area here by vehicle into a secure sally port, and then leading directly into the booking area. And then if they are to be incarcerated or held temporarily, they can be brought into the detention cells. The remainder of the floor is police operations. We have storage areas for exhibits. We have areas where their equipment is stored. This portion here is the administrative component. So it became evident through the tours through the existing building that this needed some level of privacy from the public counter itself. But the public counter, as you'll see, is visible from a lot of the building. However, the constable's area itself is screened off, so there's a degree of confidentiality and security built into that. Through these stairs here at the through the common area, or probably more likely this set of stairs here at the center portion of the southern side of the building, is the main stairs leads to the upper level. The upper level is primarily administrative functions. So we have offices for the chief and the deputy investigators. We have space for IT and communications equipment. On the second level is a large training and briefing room that can be divided to provide more flexibility. And that's deliberately located close to the exit, the common exit stairs and the elevator, so that this potentially could be used for public meetings. But the idea is that it's a multi-purpose space to meet the operational needs of the police themselves. We have a project room, which is going to be used for a variety of functions. And then also on this floor, we have our victim services and our mental health response team. So the softer side of policing will take place up here. And there's another interview room for soft type non-custody interviews. So that's all deliberately located close to the elevator and stair, so that any members of the public who are brought into this area who need assistance or have information to give can be brought up into this space. Towards the east end of the building, we have change rooms and locker facilities for the police staff. One for male, one for female. A fitness room required for the police officers to maintain a level of physical fitness. A laundry facility so that they can leave clothes in the building that get contaminated on site, and they don't have to bring these home. And a small lunchroom. All of these spaces were developed in close consultation with Chief Knoll and his staff, and the process through the design, and we're through what we consider the schematic design phase. Every effort has been made to both meet best practices in police facility design to make sure the building is safe and secure, and to provide the spaces that are necessary. And when we say necessary, these are spaces that are necessary today, but also allows the police to grow in the inevitable way that it's going to grow in future. As Paul alluded to, this building needs to last and serve the town of Hanover for a long time. So this is designed with that growth in mind. It's going to be many, many years before this is outgrown to the state that the existing police building is. There's been a lot of thought put into keeping the spaces, minimizing the space allocated to the building, keeping efficient circulation plans, considering the different groups of people who are using the building. We can design the structure to allow the building to be expanded in future. So at some point, maybe decades from now, if there is a need for additional space, that space can be captured by building over the custody area below. So it's a simple two-story building. We've been working with our structural engineer to develop a system that is economical but yet robust. Buildings like this must meet post-disaster requirements of the Ontario Building Code, and by necessity, they must be durable and secure. These are buildings that are used 24 hours a day, so the level of finishes, the level of quality for door hardware, all of these things have been taken into consideration in our initial cost estimates. So that briefly is some background on the design as it stands now. We've reached what we refer to as the schematic design stage. So that's laying out all the spaces, working with Chief Knoll and his staff to identify the actual needs. We've been doing this for many police services for many years, and we can say that this is a very efficient design focused on meeting their operational needs, but not in any excessive way. So we'd be very happy to answer any questions, either about the building operationally, any technical questions, or any architectural or image questions. that anyone may have. So,
John, maybe before we do that, though, Your Worship, we'd like to tell you that the building has increased in size from what was projected. And lots of the reason for the increase in size is with regards to the additional circulation we've provided between the police station and the theater, that yellow area that John spoke about, the public washroom, and also a little bit of circulation increase of circulation due to the connection to the existing building. We're at approximately 15,000 square feet. Correct me if I'm wrong, John. And 12,000 square feet. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 15,300 square feet. You can take that down, John. Thanks. We are just over the $600 per square foot mark, which is exactly what your staff, Andrew, and his staff have estimated for the cost of this building, just a little bit over. And we are now in what's called Class D, which is the schematic phase of the project. So the estimate is very rough at this point. It's a professional estimate, but it's still pretty rough because it's schematic design. Our thoughts are that we'd go to design development and get a much more specific cost, and at some time come back after that to council, present any updates to the design and the cost, or whatever other format you'd like us to participate in that. So thank you, Your Worship. We're here for any questions or comments.
Thank
yeah,
you.
thanks, Paul. Just one little addition I'd like to put in, Your Worship, the rest of the council. I think it is important, even though this, as Paul says, this is a rough estimate, we can assure the building committee and the town of Hanover that our focus will be on a cost-effective design. So, our position is that, yes, there may be some unknowns and some we don't have a high level of accuracy for these numbers yet because there's no detailed design to base that on. But as we go forward, all the decisions on the building construction, the finishes, the materials, the systems, the lighting systems, the structure, all of those will be focused by the team on developing as cost-effective a design as we can. So thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, very good. Thanks for the presentation. I'll open it up to council. Any comments or questions? Deputy Mayor Dickert.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you for the presentation. Just curious, I see no basement in the building. Is that a design? Is there a reason for that through design, or just cost, or what's driving that?
Sorry, Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, well, we've been talking about that as well, Deputy Mayor. And we went to see another police station that we did in St. Thomas, and it did have a basement. We're just concerned about the cost at this point in time because it has grown in size. But we will be getting a price for the basement, a more defined price when we do the more detailed design so that you can decide on it. And we may even be able to incorporate it in the drawings and price it out separately to give you an option to incorporate it. It's not a big cost. It's not like the cost of a floor. It'll be unfinished space, and foundations go down I can't remember how far down they have to go, but at least 4 feet. Your area might be different, so we'd just be going down another 5 feet or so. And Shazam, you'll have a basement.
Thank you. When you're doing that, could you give us, do they do half basements, or do you do the entire building?
Your Worship, the entire building is more cost effective if you do a half basement. You have to do a stepped foundation and you have to change the structure, and it's a little more complicated. I suspect it'll cost virtually the same as doing the whole thing as a basement.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Hawking, then we'll do Councillor Cable online.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor, because I'm in the same camp as you are. We visited, the chief and staff and myself visited St. Thomas and on October the 7th. And one of the things that I came away with is their, I didn't say told us or demanded it, but they said, if you at all could afford a basement, please do it, because it is a area that allows future expansion. In fact, they are making full use now because they've moved their communication department into the basement. So they encouraged us to look at the price. I know finances is very important, but I am pleased that Paul's going to come back with a cost. And we said this at the committee, it will be a council decision if the council wants to add the added cost for a basement. But this building is going to be around for 50, 60 years, and you're not going to put a basement in after it's built. So when you look at the long-term costs over the time, and Chief Knoll has also brought to the committee suggestions of how that may be utilized, not just for the police services, but for the entire municipality as a whole storage area. So I'm pleased that we're going to get a costing, and we'll bring it to council as part of the final presentation. Did I say everything correctly there, Paul?
Absolutely, Councillor Dave.
Okay, thanks.
You're getting
Councillor Cable.
Thank you, Worship. I'm just wondering if you can comment on the lighting in the community hall. Certainly right now there are windows that are on the south side of that building, and it would appear according to the drawing that those will all be covered up. So what is the plan to address that?
I'm not sure. John, could you address that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a compromise situation, we know. This was the area that was presented to us to be developed as a police building. One option would be to extend the common area on the second floor so that we could provide some secondary light through that. So we put some skylights in that corridor between the new building at the second level and the existing building. We could bring borrowed light, as they call it, down through that area. That would have some impact on some of the spaces that we've shown on the plans right now, and we are very limited in terms of the amount we can build southwards. We need to maintain a vehicle aisle and parking on the south side, so we're really limited with increasing the space of the building. So we haven't shown that at the moment, but it is an option.
We'll take a look at that, Your Worship. We understand the importance of that light.
Very good. Anything further, Councillor Cable?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just wondering, I was looking online at trying to get a benchmark of pricing. So if I'm looking at your 15,000 square feet and your $690 a square foot, it looks like we're around $10.6 million. I looked at other police stations. So for example, West Grey tendered theirs in 2024 for $8.88 million. I'm just wondering what is the difference between what we're looking to build here compared to, for example, the West Grey police station? Where's the $2 million difference?
I can take that, Your Worship. Construction prices have been increasing quite significantly. We have had a professional cost estimator look at this. They are aware of the tender prices that were achieved at West Grey, and they're familiar with the type of building, the type of construction that was used there. There's essentially no difference in the quality of construction between the two buildings. It's really just a matter of the effect of time on construction prices. We're escalating this forward to probably about a year from now, or 9 months from now, when the construction documents will be ready to go for tender. So that escalation has been built into our cost estimate.
Andrew, you have a comment?
Thank you, Your Worship. And just to build on that, Councillor, that's part of the reason why staff didn't have a report today accompanying the delegation. We had originally spoke, and our intent was to bring a report to council tonight with this delegation about those cost implications. And there is a gap based on other tender projects about a year or so ago, and where we're at. And we think part of that gap has to do with really the preliminary stage of the design, Councillor. So we're hoping that as we progress a little bit in the next few months, we can kind of hone down on that square footage pricing, because it's so rough right now, that we would be able to actually come back to council with a little bit more of an educated number to say, here's where we're at based on a little bit beyond a schematic design. And we'd feel a little more confident coming to council and saying, here's what we think our project may overly cost. At that same time, we'll have some pricing on that estimated basement budget, which we can show separately so that council has an idea the overall scope that we're talking about at that point.
Thank you, Andrew. Paul?
I'll also add, Your Worship, I'm not sure if John mentioned it, but there's big design contingencies in that costing, which cover design that isn't done. I think there's like 15 or 20% of design contingency that may not be required. Your staff, we looked at it very careful, and your staff did a great job on creating parameters for the project, but there's some areas, so circulation, additional circulation we needed, as well as the corridor between the two buildings and the complexity that brings with additional stairs and a more complicated elevator. Thank you.
Councillor Cable?
Listen, thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Andrew and Paul, for some clarification there. I guess what I was intrigued by was when I was looking at Westgray's process, it looks like there were some options that were presented somewhere between an $8.2 million police station up to a $10.2 million police station. And ultimately, Westgray Council decided at this $8.8 million option. So I do appreciate that the basement is being looked at as an option, but I wonder if some other optional pricing is provided, and whether the committee has considered what would the police station look like if the budget was $9 million or if it was $9.5 million. Just wondering if the committee has had any discussions about that.
Councillor Hawking, then we have Paul online.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Cable. I think what we've done as a committee, and I want to indicate we've been meeting since June the 24th, every second Tuesday, with staff and with the architects. And our goal was to make sure we had an operational and functional police services building that would last for a minimum of 50 years. We've gone through many meetings looking at possible minimal standards, if I could say, and I think the architects and the chief and his support has come up with what we think is a building that will meet the needs of our police services. I don't see a need to nickel and dime and in doing so compromise what we need as a municipality for our police services. The police services have done a great job. We've done visits to other police stations. We've interviewed other police services. We've incorporated their suggestions, and I'm very confident that we've done our due diligence in looking at what is required. Unfortunately, the cost indicates what is obvious to everybody, construction costs have increased. So I would hate to go through and sort of minimize our floor plan or our building at the expense of good operations and good functionality. Thank you.
So Paul, you did have your hand up, or do you want to give it to John? Go ahead, Paul.
Oh, let John go. He knows what I'm going to say.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Your Worship. Yes, basically in this case, there are no optional spaces. It has already been pared down to the operational minimum. There are no spaces that could be taken out. There's nothing in there that's nice to have. It's all necessary space. So that's why there are no options. It's basically has already been pared down to the minimum required.
And it has to last 50 years, so it has to have very durable materials.
Yeah.
Okay, other comments? Andrew, go ahead.
Sorry, just to mention one thing, Councillor Cable, you're correct. I had spoken to Wes Gray early on in this process a year or so ago, and I do know that the options that you're referring to related to some energy efficient related items, which caused an increase to the project, and there was a decision to be made on that, kind of a base build number and then a more energy efficient design, I believe, and that's what those design options were. If you recall, at the time of the project charter, we had mentioned that this building is not a net zero building, you know, it costs being a large reason for that, but we would have regard for energy efficiency when we could. If through the process there's an option to show a few options that, you know, for an extra $300,000, it would be more energy efficient or not, staff definitely could propose options like that to council if it aligned with what we were doing.
Okay, I'm gonna check one more time. Any comments or questions? Councillor Cable.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I do appreciate everyone's responses, and I do think that we need more information on certainly what the kind of the dollar figures will be, and I understand that will come as the project progresses. I guess since we're looking at the schematics, the one thing that surprised me slightly was the idea of the Sallyport being on the east side of the building. If I'm understanding correctly, the Sallyport is used when we're bringing in someone into the police station. And I just am shocked that from the dignity of that person and thinking about also the flow into the library and the civic office, that we would want to have that taking place in the clock tower parking lot. It floors me that we would want to, I guess just for that person's dignity in the back of that police cruiser, have them going through a very public space. And I don't quite understand why it wasn't thought of to put the Sallyport on the south side of the building. It looks like we already have garage spaces that are there. I just wonder if the committee has really given thought about kind of how that's going to function in reality, especially when it's already a very busy parking lot, and to now have police vehicles needing to access on that side.
John?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Yes, you raised a point about which there was many conversations through the last few months. The locating the Sallyport there was that decision was reached after a lot of discussions. Primarily, it would be maneuvering a vehicle into a prisoner transport vehicle into a Sallyport that faced the drive aisle to the south. But when we spoke about putting or made the decision to put it on the northeast side, the idea is to put a screen between the parking lot and where the cruiser would momentarily wait before being driven into the Sallyport. The prisoner would never be released from the cruiser until they're inside the secure part of the building. There'd be no visibility from the outside. And we felt that a screen where the vehicle would be waiting to get into that would go a long way to alleviating the concerns that not just you, but some of the members of the committee raised as well.
Thank you.
If I can respond, I just would strongly urge the committee to please reconsider. I just think I don't see the necessity of having that Sally Port on that side of the building. I really don't see why we can't just have it as a washroom, the exit from this corridor, and rejig. Like we're a blank slate. We're able to make this building however we want. And I don't understand why the operational side of the police station needs to be in a busy area. And you can say you're going to put up a screen, but ultimately that person's coming in from, whether it's behind Wow Wing or they're coming in off of Main Street, the screen's not going to block them from the busyness of that parking lot, which is an area that Hanover residents use daily. And I just feel like if we could remove access to the police station on that side, it just provides more separation between the police facility and our more civic functions in that space.
Your worship, we'll let our committee, we'll discuss that with our committee, and we'll take your comments very seriously, and we'll go from there for now. Yeah, thank you for your comments.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to ask final time, any comments, questions? Okay, we're good. Thank you very much for the presentation, all the details, and we look forward to more information being presented to us. So thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so we're going to move on the agenda, and we are on to item 8, which is the council minutes. And 8.1 is the regular council meeting minutes from December 1st. I need a mover and seconder to put those on the floor, Councillor Hudson and Councillor Sackle. And I will just highlight a couple of items, maybe. Oh, yes. Just we approved previous council minutes, including the budget meeting minutes and joint council public meeting minutes with West Grey and Hanover. We also discussed and received information about the police station project. A response was read to the Hanover Chamber of Commerce letter and shared details about the Coca-Cola Kindest Community Initiative. And that's it for highlights, unless anyone else has comments or questions. All in favor? That is carried. Item 8.2 is the special council meeting minutes, and that was our budget meeting. I need a mover and seconder to put that on the floor. Deputy Mayor Dickert, and I need a seconder. Councillor Sackle, thank you. Discussion, it was the budget meeting minutes. I'm not going to go through that. So I would ask Deputy Mayor Dickert to make his comments.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just on page 36, item 8, under the adjournment, it gives a finite number as far as what the tax rate would equal to for a property, but it doesn't explain that that's actually an average assessment or whatever. So it's somewhat misleading, and I would like to see that adjusted to more closely reflect what it actually says.
So we can do that, correct, Vicki?
Yes, our Director of Corporate Services and Treasurer suggested wording that the minutes be revised to state that a residential property assessed at $220,000 will see an increase of $192.35 over the previous year, or 53 cents per day. So we will revise those minutes.
Okay, so all in favor of the amended special council budget meeting? Okay, all in favor? Yes, you have a question?
I found it interesting that we have a 1% increase almost, because all our multi-residents, which pay a higher mill rate now, are going to be taxed at residential. And I found that very informative because that accounted for almost 1% of our 7.7%. The fact that multi-residential would now be taxed as residential.
Right.
I just wanted to make that comment. Thank
Yes.
you.
This is the last year of the phase-in, so we won't see that next year. So, okay, all in favor of the amended minutes? That's carried. Thank you. Item 10 is the consent agenda. And that starts on page 37. And I'm going to ask if there are any items in the consent agenda that you wish to be discussed separately. I have one. I'd like to pull 10.3. That's the AMO and the OMERS governance changes. So we'll discuss that one separately. So I need a mover and seconder for the consent agenda. And that is that the items listed on the consent agenda be received for information and that any recommendations contained therein be hereby approved. Moved by Councillor Sackle, seconded by Councillor Hudson. All in favor? That is carried. So then we'll go to the item that was pulled, and that is 10.3. And this is from the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, which is AMO. And the province has passed legislation through Bill 68 that would allow the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing to dissolve the OMERS Sponsors Corporation and replace it with a Sponsors Council that lacks corporate status, independent resources, and fiduciary protections. And AMO has provided us with a template letter and a resolution. And they're stating, and I should say AMO represents 444 municipalities in Ontario, and they are a unified voice speaking to the government for us when we need them. So this Sponsors Council, in practice, this would allow pension decisions to be made without meaningful municipal oversight, increasing financial exposure for local governments, and ultimately local taxpayers. AMO believes the current model works because it balances independence, accountability, and fairness between employers and employees. And I felt it would be good for this council to support this resolution, and it would be sent in with any other municipality that is supporting it for AMO. If you're in favor of that, I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Hocking and Councillor Sackle. Any comments, discussion? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Council. Item 11 is staff reports requiring action. We have 11.1. We're on page 60 of the package. This is report PB 2325. It is appointment of inspectors as per Building Code Act, and it's from Andrew Wilkin, our Director of Development and Infrastructure, also our CBO. I need a mover and seconder before Andrew highlights that report. Councillor Hudson and Deputy Mayor Dickert. Andrew?
Thank you, Your Worship. As construction activity and development will hopefully and obviously continue to grow in our municipality, the need for additional inspection capacity may be required in the future. Many municipalities around Ontario are utilizing third-party agencies to supplement existing inspections as required in order to maintain the appropriate levels of service as outlined in the Building Code Act. The bylaw before you here tonight has been prepared to appoint inspectors to assist in the building code reviews. The individuals identified in bylaw 3367-25 all have the appropriate experience and qualifications. All the individuals are currently employees of RSM Building Consultants, which is a third-party consultant firm that specializes in providing consultant services for municipalities throughout Ontario. This The appointment here is simply ensuring that we can remain compliant at odd times in the future. I don't anticipate this has any immediate impact on the town. This is simply to allow, if there are issues with timing, perhaps the inspectors currently working for the town are out of town for a conference or something along those lines. These third parties could do the reviews within the allocated time period. When we receive an inspection, it is mandatory that we complete that inspection within 48 hours. Therefore, there is some elapsed time that occurs that we need to meet. I did want to mention that Nelson Dolly of Dolly Engineering is also appointed currently as an inspector. He is a structural engineer. He does a lot of design work for certain developers around town. So at times there could be a perceived conflict if he's doing the design and the inspection. Therefore, it just makes sense to add some others onto the list. Again, we are not required to utilize the services of these individuals at any point. However, to do inspections, they do have to be appointed by council and pass through bylaw. Therefore, it just makes sense to think ahead and have that coverage if the time were ever required. These appointments are made pursuant to Section 3, Subsection 2 of the Building Code Act. There are absolutely no financial implications to this herein. All inspections are covered within the building permit fees and services and covered in our rates and fees bylaw. The link to the strategic plan is balanced growth, and the recommendation is that report PB 23-25 appointment of inspectors as per the Building Code Act be received, and that council pass bylaw number 3367-25 as per Section 3 of the Building Code Act to appoint Gerald Moore, Barbara Mockney, Megan Opersko, Grant Schwartzentruber, John Drahorat, Andy Lamers, and Richard Ryan as inspectors of the town of Hanover. And again, all of these are employees of RSM Consulting. However, I have to point a person and not a firm. And I'll answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Deputy Mayor Dickert?
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Andrew. Just curiosity more than anything, just where is RSM located? And I'm assuming from what you said, there is no retainer fees here to have them available to us. It's only on a call for service that would be the only time to be any charge?
Through Your Worship, yes, it's a call for service type of basis. There is no retainer. They've got a few offices, Kitchener-Waterloo area. However, many of their inspectors are retired building officials through other municipalities working remotely. So they're able to kind of accommodate those requests within the 48 hours as their staff are kind of located everywhere, with the exception of Northern Ontario.
Councillor Cable?
Thank you, Your Worship. Andrew, what happens if an inspection is not completed correctly and there was future liability? Does this company provide liability insurance to cover the work that their employees do?
Yes, the company has liability insurance for their work. And again, as inspectors, they're held to the same standards as we are as building officials under the Building Code Act, as we've been appointed as well.
Anything further, Councillor Cable, or you're good?
Nope, thank you, Your Worship.
Okay. Councillor Hudson?
Thank you, Your Worship. So in addition to yourself and Nelson Dolly, do we use anybody else?
Through Your Worship, yes, actually, to shine some light on, Jordan Whitmore is our Deputy Chief Building Official, and currently she accomplishes 95% of the inspections within the town itself.
Good. I don't see any other hands raised, so I'm going to call the question. All in favor of PB 2325? That is carried. Thank you. Item 11.3, this is on page 63 of the package. It is FI 0725. The subject is the Fire Department's surplus asset declaration and disposal recommendations. It's from our Fire Chief and CEMC, Jeff Deniger. I need a mover and seconder to put that on the floor. Deputy Mayor Dickert and Councillor Hudson. Chief?
Thank you, Your Worship. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So as indicated, this is a fire department surplus asset declaration and disposal recommendation. This is as a result of the discontinued use of the former fire station. There are a number of items that have been identified as obsolete, damaged, or otherwise surplus. As these are publicly owned assets, they should be declared surplus by council and disposed of in a transparent manner. There is a significant list here that's indicated as far as what the item is, the condition, and then the potential income. Typically the asset is offered to other municipal departments first. If there is no need, the asset is disposed of by means of public auction or advertised for public tender. GovDeals has been utilized in the past for items being sold. Upon council declaration of these assets surplus, staff will implement the sale direction and disposal. The estimated values of the items for the town is approximately $3,500. The online auction may bring more or less than this amount. GovDeals does charge a commission on the sale price. The fire department will be credited with the net proceeds, if any, from disposal of the surplus items. The link to the strategic plan is open and responsible government, and the recommendation is that FI 0725 be received, that council declare the assets identified as surplus and the surplus assets be disposed of in the manner recommended. Be certainly open to questions if there are any.
Thank you, Chief. My question is the two items that are donation, the bunker gear sets and the breathing apparatus, where is the donation going?
So they are very much beyond the lifespan as indicated by NFPA. So it can't be used in North America, but they can go to other countries that do not have to follow NFPA, third world countries. There are organizations that will help get the gear to people and departments in need in other countries.
Thank you. Council, any comments or questions? Councillor Sackle?
Thank you, Your Worship. Jeff, how many is various plastic chairs? The first item there for $100?
There's approximately 30.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my thought is just in the former launch pad, I wonder if Elephant Thoughts could use any of those tables or those plastic chairs before you send it out on Gov, whatever that is. Just a thought. I don't know if they're needed or not. I don't know what the plans are.
Through you, Your Worship, we can connect with that organization as a department, if the CAO agrees.
Okay. All right. I don't see any other hands raised, so I will call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you, and thank you, Chief. Item 11.3 is report DCS 2225. The subject is the annual liability and property insurance renewal for 2026. It's from Yelena Savic, our Director of Corporate Services and Treasurer. I need a mover and seconder to put this on the floor, Councillor Hocking and Deputy Mayor Dickert. Yelena?
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. Staff are recommending that council receive report DCS 2225 regarding the annual liability and property insurance renewals for 2026 and approve the municipality's comprehensive insurance program for the period of January 1 to December 31, 2026. So each year, administration reviews the town's insurance coverage to ensure that it continues to adequately protect the corporation's assets and operations. For 2026, the proposed program has been prepared by Intact Public Entities Incorporated, and it provides coverage for all municipal property, equipment, and buildings with a total insured value of approximately $120 million. Excuse me. The cost of the comprehensive insurance program is $794,979. In addition, administration is recommending the continuation of 3 separate coverages: the VFIS firefighters accident insurance coverage at about $5,000, drone insurance coverage for $4,700, and cyber liability insurance for $13,500. So the total annual insurance cost for 2026 is $818,300 $350 plus applicable taxes, and that represents an increase of only 1.2% from prior year. That represents the staff continued work towards better internal controls and processes to lower our insurance costs overall. Administration believes that this insurance program appropriately balances risk management, coverage needs, and the cost for the municipality, and we recommend approval as presented.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Councillor Hudson?
Thank you, Your Worship. I do have one question, and maybe we should have kept Jeff for this one. The drone coverage includes beyond vision line of sight operations. What is that?
Through your worship, my best guess, I'm pretty sure this is what it is. It's when they fly the drone, but they can't see the drone. So if it's flying beyond the operator's line of sight, there's separate additional coverage for that.
Jeff, did you want to comment?
I can, thank you. Through you, Your Worship, Jan is exactly correct. This is a new, Transport Canada has opened up a new form of flying. So previously, up to now, we've had to watch the drone. With the new legislation and taking a number of steps, we can fly the drone beyond the visual line of sight when we can't see it, ensuring that we're providing numerous safety things. And one is that we have the proper insurance in place. So this allows us to have a drone program that is much more efficient and effective.
Very good, thank you. Other comments or questions? Councillor Cable, did I see your hand? No, sorry. Okay. All right, I'm going to call the question. All in favor of DCS 2225? That is carried. Okay, item 11.4 on page 68 is report CL 0925. The subject is appointments to boards and committees. It's from Vicky McDonald, our Manager of Legislative Services and Clerk. I need a mover and seconder. Councillor Cable, can I take you to move that? Thank you. Councillor Sackle to second. Vicky?
Thank you, Your Worship. The new procedure bylaw provides processes for the appointment of members to municipal boards and committees, and that is highlighted in the report. With the strong mayor powers, the mayor was given that authority. However, Mayor Patterson delegated this authority to council in July 10th, 2025, so that council would still establish and dissolve committees and appoint members to those committees. As a result of resignations, we had vacancies on the Age-Friendly Committee, Economic, Tourism and Culture Development Advisory Committee, the Cultural Roundtable Subcommittee, and the Heritage Subcommittee. We had posted a notice on the website and shared on social media, inviting individuals to apply to become a member of these boards. Mayor Patterson reviewed the applications that were received and is recommending appointments as follows. So to the Age-Friendly Committee, Suzanne Kunkel, and to the Heritage Subcommittee, Mark McKenzie. There were no applications received for the Economic, Tourism, Culture Development Advisory Committee or the Cultural Roundtable Committee. And the note with regard to the appointment of a staff member to the Hanover Public Library Board, Tony Castro was to replace Laura Lee Ryby, but that has since been amended again, and currently there is no public or staff appointee from the Public Library Board to the Age-Friendly Committee. There are no financial implications associated with this report, and the link to the strategic plan is Community and Sustainable Municipal Operations. And the recommendation is that report CL 0925, appointments to boards and committees be received, and that council approve committee appointments as outlined in report CL 0925, the remainder of the current council term.
Thank you, Vicky. Any comments or questions? Councillor Sackle.
Thank you, Your Worship. I want to speak specifically about the Cultural Roundtable Committee. With no one applying for those 3 positions, perhaps we need to do a little bit more heavy-duty recruitment. Currently, Bev Morgan serves as the chair, and she represents the Saugeen Artists Guild on that committee. We have Stephen Ferguson representing the Hanover Community Players, and we have Brandon Dobson representing Parks and Rec. Now, Pat Butler also sits on that committee. Initially, she was on the film group that we had in town, and that has since folded, but she's on Probus and she does do the film group there. So I consider her kind of a public person. But I'm wondering about the library board. Do we have anyone from the library board? There was someone. I'm not sure that we do now. Do you know, Vicky?
I would have to check my committee listing. I don't believe there is a current appointee.
Nonetheless, that's a very small committee. And I think there have been occasions where they can't even get quorum because of that. There's just not enough people. And it's my hope that one day we're going to have a space, something like the Bruce County Museum and Arts Center in Southampton, where families can gather and enjoy culture. And for us, it may mean working in partnership with our Heritage Committee. So I would like to propose that the Heritage Committee send a representative to the Cultural Roundtable. I'd also like to propose that a representative be appointed from Dave Schefter's Back Porch Events. He's bringing in some awesome groups to our town. People from out of town are coming in here. I was just there Friday night, as was Councillor Hudson, and it was a wonderful tribute band. I would love to see representatives from the Grey Bruce Singers, someone from the many dance groups that we have in town. So maybe it's time that we have the town send out some personal invites to these groups so that the Cultural Roundtable is really reflecting the entire town of Hanover. Thank you.
So I'm going to turn to the clerk or the CAO on that proposal. Are you, Councillor Sackle, are you thinking of just a personal invite to each group? And then do we need to change the terms of reference? So
yes, in order to send out those invitations, the terms of reference would need to be amended to incorporate language that would allow membership from those respective agencies or organizations. Again, there would still need to be a limit on the number of members for the Cultural Roundtable Committee. It's certainly something that could be looked at to review those terms and conditions, but that would probably need to be in place before we start initiating letters to those organizations to fill those positions.
So it has to go back to the committee. Go ahead, Sherry.
I would just add that there's nothing stopping these individuals from applying now to be part of this committee as public members. Most of those organizations have members who live in this community and could apply now to be public members if truly they were interested in being part of that. Secondly, given that the term of this committee, any committee term, expires around mid-November 2026, I would suggest that the best time to look at a terms of reference is in line with the next council municipal election. That's kind of how we do it or have done it in the past. It just aligns well for that, to update them and then to look at recruitment. And the second part of, or third part, I would say, is that April and I have had some very preliminary conversations about what are some other options. And again, that would become something that would be further discussed as staff with the clerk prior to the next term of committee appointments with respect to our committee structure overall.
Councillor Hawking.
Thank you, Worship. I have mentioned this to April, but in my first term of council, I was appointed by you as the representative on the Cultural Committee. And I think I know the reason why, but the Cultural Committee lost its pizzazz. It lost its focus. It lost its impetus because it was taken away as a single committee and absorbed within economic development and travel. Not travel, is it travel? Yeah. Tourism. Okay. Well, you travel when you're a tourist. So I would strongly suggest, CEO talked about options, that you give it its real importance in a community. Culture is so important to the viability, to the spirit of the community, and you lost it when you took it away and made it a subcommittee. Are those 3 vacancies, the 3 members of the sub, is that all that we have right now? Yeah, so look, they all quit. I know why one of the reasons they quit is they got taken away their impetus. I mean, look what occurred in the first term. We were able to get the new gazebo. We were able to get music in the square. We had great emphasis. So please give it consideration that culture is important for economic development, but it deserves its own focus within a community. Because if you start diluting the value of culture within a community, you're going to lose something. Thank you for my rant.
Thank you for that, for sharing. Any other comments? Councillor Cable, you had your hand up and now it's down. You're okay?
Yes,
All right.
it was well summarized.
Okay, good. All right, I'm going to call the question, and our CAO has been taking lots of notes about options, and so has Vicky, our clerk. So I'll call the question. All in favor of CL 0925? That is carried. I'm here, and Brandon voted in favor, so we're good. Correct? Councillor Cable, you voted in? Yes. Okay. It's just the clerk checking. All right, we have item 11.5. We're on page 70. This is report CAO 2425. It is the Hanover and West Grey Boundary Adjustment Agreement, and it's from Sherry Walden, our CAO, and I need a mover and seconder to put this on the floor. Councillor Hocking and Deputy Mayor Dickert. Sherry?
Thank you, Your Worship. So I have a number of notes I've written and computer and a few others, so bear with me here. Prior to highlighting the report, though, I want to acknowledge Mayor Kevin Eccles, Councillor Doug Hutchison, and West Grey Council for the collaboration in getting to this point in our boundary adjustment process, as well as West Grey CAO Michelle Harris, Director of Legislative Services and Clerk Jamie Eckensweller, and Director of Finance Treasurer Carrie Mighton for their commitment and cooperation throughout. To Grey County CAO Randy Scherzer and Director of Planning Scott Taylor for the professionalism and facilitation assistance, as well as other Grey County staff within their communications and legal departments. Luigi Presta from Thank Compass for his facilitation support. Mayor Patterson and Councillor Hocking for their input as council representatives on the working group. And Team Hanover staff members, Manager of Legislative Services Clerk Vicky McDonald, Retired Director of Corporate Services and Treasurer Chris Walker, and our entire senior management team for their attention and input at key times to date. This is a very exciting report to bring forward for Council's direction and approval. So this has been a highly collaborative process, and all involved have played an integral role. It has been a tremendous example of teamwork between upper and lower tier municipalities with a commitment to prosperity for West Grey, Hanover, and the entire region. The background section of the report, which is on page 70, starts on page 70, provides, oops, sorry, I got onto a wrong page here. I'm not sure why that happened. Sorry. The background section of the report provides a summary of Hanover's shortage of land concerns and the completion of many studies, reports, and comprehensive reviews that support this. It provides a summary of our mutual prosperity working group discussions that have been occurring since 2023. It also provides detail with respect to our in-principle boundary adjustment agreement announcement that occurred on October 30th, 2025, as well as the boundary adjustment lands that are highlighted in the report map shared on page 3 and are included in the agreement as Schedule A. I'm not going to go into detail with respect to these items because these are items that you're well aware of. The joint public meeting, I will share some other information, and that information starts on pages 3 and 4. So as council's aware, the joint public meeting was attended by all Hanover and West Grey council members on November 19th. It was held in Elmwood. It was well attended with 70 in person and 21 virtually who participated. Those in attendance provided details of the proposal and an opportunity to share comments prior to council decisions. The comments received at the meeting and prior to this report being shared with council included things such as requests for clarification on property impacts, questions about tax implications and service charges, concerns about increased taxes, traffic, subdivisions, and commercial development, questions regarding whether hunting will still be permitted on the lands once the lands are added to Hanover, and suggestion that the proposal be reevaluated, consider alternatives, ensure the tax base is not affected by the costs associated with the expansion, requested that Hanover Council consider the requirement to connect to water and sewer services once extended in the area or plan to assist with financial burden, not interested in having urban development on their lands and opposed to the restructuring proposal, clarification regarding the benefits of the restructuring proposal for both municipalities and the affected property owners, questions regarding the financial modeling and assessment reports used to help determine financial compensation, and support from Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority for responsible growth and recommendations for updated floodplain mapping and reviewing erosion hazards and wetlands, and questions about next steps and when the lands would be updated in future official plan and zoning update processes. Again, that was a summary of the comments that we had received. I also want to acknowledge that we received a letter this afternoon on behalf of a property owner, and that was shared as requested with council members by email. Other engagement that has occurred has included conversations with MPP Vickers, Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing staff, Saugeen Ojibwe Nation Communication, and noting to our partners at the Grey Federation of Agriculture and Grey Agricultural Services. At their December 11th, 2025 meeting, Grey County Council passed a resolution that was included on page 4 of the report, and I am going to say it verbatim. It was that report CAOR-CW-20-25 regarding the boundary adjustment proposal between Hanover and West Grey be received, and that the County of Grey supports the restructuring proposal between the municipality of West Grey and the town of Hanover, subject to the restructuring agreement being approved by the respective councils that would see lands transferred from the municipality of West Grey to the town of Hanover, and that correspondence be provided to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the town of Hanover, and the municipality of West Grey expressing such support, and that action be taken prior to council approval as per section 26.6 B of the procedural bylaw 5134-22. Within the discussion section of the report, which starts on pages 4, mostly 5, it starts, you will see that the boundary adjustment agreement has been prepared and details the term of the restructuring proposal. Multiple discussions with West Grey CAO and clerk and Hanover legal representative were held to prepare, review, and finalize the terms and conditions right up until last Thursday, if I might add. The agreement will transfer lands from Hanover. The agreement will transfer lands from West Grey to Hanover to support future municipal growth, infrastructure coordination, and economic development while acknowledging the rights of existing landowners and respecting agricultural operations. On page 5, the summary of the agreement sections is shared, and the agreement was attached to the report. So the agreement includes the effective date and implementation, the schedules, the land to be annexed, the compensation, the tax collection and assessment, the municipal bylaws and official plans, the assets, liabilities, rights, and obligations, studies, plans, records, and data, agricultural and other existing uses, expropriation, status not affected, termination, amendments, dispute resolution, notice, force majeure, and general provisions. The next steps with respect to where we are at today and where we anticipate going is that the Municipal Act sets out the process and framework for the municipal restructuring proposals. The boundary adjustment agreement is being presented obviously here today and West Grey Council tomorrow morning. Upon approval by each municipality, the next step is to prepare and submit a formal restructuring proposal to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing by the end of 2025. If approved, the minister will issue a minister's order, and it is projected the effective date to be early 2026 following that minister's order. Further to that, Grey County and Hanover's official plan will need to be amended, as well as the town's comprehensive zoning bylaw. Within the financial implications section, which is on page 6, this details the compensation to West Grey, which is $10 million payable at $500,000 per year over 20 years. And council's direction for the annual $500,000 payment to West Grey is as follows: that we will remit the tax levy generated by the boundary adjustment lands to West Grey, taxed at the phased-in Hanover rate, that there will be an annual tax levy increase for all town of Hanover residents, including the boundary adjustment lands, of 0.5% for a period of 5 years, commencing in the year of the finalization of the boundary adjustment. Following this period, the difference between the taxation revenue from the boundary adjustment lands and the $500,000 annual repayment amount will be reflected in the town levy and is anticipated to be below the initial 0.5% increase. Further, it is projected that the town will see increased revenues from the boundary adjustment lands as a result of development effective 2036, at which point it is anticipated the town tax levy will no longer increase to offset the difference between tax revenues and the $500,000 annual payment. The use of investing in Hanover reserve funds to offset any difference between tax revenue and the $500,000 payment for the first 5 years, which is anticipated to be 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, and 2030. The link to the strategic plan is healthy and welcoming community, strong and vibrant economy, balanced growth, and open and responsible government. The recommendation before council this evening is that report CAO-24-25, Hanover and West Grey Boundary Adjustment Agreement, be received, and that council approved bylaw 3368-25, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute the boundary adjustment agreement with the municipality of West Grey to provide for the adjustment of the municipal boundary between the corporation of the municipality of West Grey and the corporation of the town of Hanover, substantially in accordance with, as shown in Schedule A, and that council further directs staff to work with West Grey staff to prepare and submit the restructuring proposal package to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. I'd be happy to answer any questions or clarifications that you may have.
My compliments to you for this report. Very well written. And the knowledge and expertise that you have put into it and gained through this entire process is exceptional. Well done. Council, questions, comments? Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Because of the email that was sent out earlier today, does that affect anything that we have ongoing?
No.
Other comments or questions? We're very quiet. It is. I don't know if you heard that, Councillor Cable, but Councillor Hawking said it's exciting. He didn't have his mic on. Okay, I'm going to call the question. All in favor of CAO 2425? That is carried. Our Councillor Cable, since you're online, I'm just going to say that our audience clapped.
It was definitely an exciting night, and certainly thank you to the whole committee that's been working on this for a couple of years. It certainly is an exciting and momentous report, so thank you for all the work.
I agree. Okay, item 12 is committees of council minutes, and we have 3 sets of minutes. This is starting on page 97 of the package. So I need a mover and seconder for the 3 sets of minutes, and then we'll highlight them. Councillor Sackle and Deputy Mayor Dickert. So the first one, plus VG Architects, this is report of the meeting from November 12th. Councillor Hawking, you were going to highlight those, I
Yes.
heard.
Thank you, Your Worship. As I stated in the question when we had our delegation, we meet every second Tuesday. So we've met subsequent to these minutes, and some of it has already been dealt with. So I'm not going to go over sort of things that have already been, because you'll get that in the next set of minutes. There's a good description on the summary. So I went through my calendar and we've been meeting, did I say June 2025? Yeah, 2025. And we've done a lot of discussion. So I'm glad we had them come tonight. And probably the biggest surprise was the cost. Secondly, it's unfortunate, but it is fortunate that with the fire escape of the current theater, added that whole corridor, which is significant in square footage. I'm on page 2 of 5, and Paul, and he mentioned it, he had worked on this building, he worked on the Civic Center, and he was very excited to make the blend. He called it a campus, I believe. Did he? Yes. And it's pretty plain. It meets all the requirements of the chief and his staff. Chief Knoll has been very, very busy with the design process. And again, we want to repeat that it has to satisfy our police services needs, both functionality and operational. The site layout we talked about, and again, it was mentioned today, right-of-way negotiation. So there's an example. I think the negotiation has already been completed for the right-of-way behind First St. Matthew's Church. We had some talk about the Sally Port and the shape, and it was adjusted to fit the existing structure. One of the things that added to the cost that's not in the minutes here, of course, it's 2-story as opposed to all on one level. The floor plans, again, have not changed significantly, and John, who is the architect who's been involved with so many buildings, he walked you through the floor plan, and we've looked at where could we find extra space, and he basically has told us there is no extra space to be really diminished. Second floor discussion, budget questions. Again, once we get to I think they call it a level C, where we got a D today, which is in the notes. Expansion. There is the possibility on the second floor for some possible expansion, which is a good thing. And action items, those are items that will be answered in the next set of minutes. And that's it. But I'm open to any questions that you have. And leave it at that.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions? My comment is it must be very difficult and probably looked at as a challenge to the architect and design to put a building into a specific space rather than construct a building in a vacant lot. You know, they've got to make it all work. And it's going to match really nicely, at least from the photos.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
I think I stand to be corrected, and maybe Carol Hudson can support me on this. I think Paul, the architect, he's sort of the design guy, and I think one of his goals was to have the front of the building on 10th Avenue so that it matches everything and a seamless sort of flow. After another thing that I thought was neat is he pulled it back a bit so that it's not actually square with the Civic Center. And there's some protective barriers on the front, and he's going to do a good job for us. The only thing we're concerned about, and that's why we thought it was appropriate to come to you, council, just to sort of give you a heads up that it may be a little bit more. And he paid tribute to our staff. He didn't, they did it the way they saw fit. You heard Andrew, he called Wes Gray. It's just the fact that it's 2 stories, and we ran into this when we saw St. Thomas. You got stairs that you got to put in, you got elevators you got to put in. If you had it all on one floor, you wouldn't have that extra cost. So, and we got the washroom put in that people have been asking for many, many years that use the Heritage Square. So now they will have a facility in the building that they can use at all times. We don't have to open up the other parts of our community hall. So I've learned a lot. I don't say much, which is unusual, but they are very good. And no, I'm glad I'm on the committee. I'm glad I went to visit other police stations to get an idea and get comments from. Sometimes you lose focus when you're just in your own community, but when you visit other police stations and get their input, and they've been through the build and look for this and look for that. And the nice thing is that John has been the architect involved in some of those buildings. So it's his work at hand. And no, I'm thankful for the experience, and hopefully we'll come back to you in the springtime with the more accurate. Then we get council's blessing, go to tender, and he figures it'll be a construction over the winter months, but he said not to worry about that. So with an opening up in 2027.
Okay, very good. All right, we'll move on to the next set of minutes. This is the Joint Health and Safety Committee minutes, and we're on page 102, and Sherry's going to highlight those.
Thank you, Your Worship. The highlights that I will share is that the hearing conservation program was approved and staff review is as applicable. So staff that are impacted by this policy, I should say, are reviewing that. And we will be initiating those baseline hearing tests accordingly. The working alone guideline was further discussed and resulted in some revisions to that guideline, which I can say I have now reviewed and approved. So that will be rolling out soon. They've reviewed the inspection reports and any of follow-up and noted various trainings and completed in-house, as well as Joint Health and Safety Committee member certification and retraining. So those are the highlights that I would share from those minutes.
Thank you. If there's any questions, please let me know. The last set of minutes, this is the Parks, Recreation and Culture Advisory Committee minutes. Councillor Hudson, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Parks, Recreation and Culture met on Wednesday, November 26th. We did have a delegation that evening from the Hanover Seniors Friendship Club. Marjorie Matthews presented us with a lot of information that many of us were not aware of. That particular club was founded in 1951, so they've been around quite some time. And they do own the building, and it is a very, very reasonable rent for people that are looking for a space for their family functions. They do have, they've expanded some of the activities, so they still do a lot of cards, potluck meals. They now have speakers and entertainment as well. Every third Monday of the month is when they have their meetings. For those that are not aware of where it is, it's located at 432 15th Ave South, and very accessible for people. And for people that want to join, the membership is very reasonable. It's $10 a year. So, and anyone from 55 up can join. So we're all okay to do that. Other things that we talked about were the Driftscape app, and there has been over 2,000 views on that to date. The chair and vice chair are continuing to be the same people till the end of term. So Keith Hopkins will be the chair, and Danica Metcalf is the vice chair till the end of the term. We discussed the capital project update. Some of this is a little bit outdated as of now. And then a little bit of discussion about the municipal commemorative policy, which includes some of the benches and that sort of thing, that people can have a name put on a particular bench, of which there are guidelines for, to memorialize a family member or a particular person. Some of the committee member roundtable questions were if there was the possibility of building another rental room, because we are currently using the one rental room upstairs for the family health team. And also, as everyone probably knows by now, what used to be the old CIP office is New Breed Sports, which I think is doing very well. And that concludes that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Hawking.
Thank you, Worship. I am kind of interested in 8.1 from the committee member who talked about the possibility of building beside elevator on second level at the P&H Center. I guess what spurred my interest is, and I'm going to ask this of the CEO because I know she'll know this, Pat. Is the P&H Center rented on a daily basis? No, not the P&H Center, the Lions Den. Is it rented by rental, or is it, can someone come in and say to us, I'd like to rent the Lions Den for every Friday night for 6 months. Could you give me a deal, or does it have to be by date, by date, by date?
So we will entertain any rental inquiry. You could rent every Friday night if in fact it was available. And the rental fees for many of our rooms, not just those at the P&H Center, that there's a daily rate, an hourly rate, and then there is a block booking discount that applies. I believe it's after 10 or more bookings. And I think it's a 15% discount.
I thought it might be advantageous to the Barons or to the Lions Club. And I know the Lions Club, they because they fundraised for that particular room, they do have a rental agreement in place. But it might be advantageous if we gave a real good rate to have it rented every Friday night for 6 months rather than no rental at all. And maybe that might be something that the rec board could look at. Anyway, it's just a suggestion.
Yeah, and noted, rental rates are established by council, FYI, right? You establish you establish, they could.
Okay, I don't see any other hands. So this motion has been moved by Councillor Sackles, seconded by Deputy Mayor Dickert, that we are to receive the information and approve the recommendations in the minutes that were just highlighted. All in favor? That is carried. And my apologies, I should have asked if anybody wanted a break. We're almost finished. But, okay, if you need to leave the room for any reason, please go ahead. Item 13 is the bylaws. We have two bylaws, and I need a mover and seconder before the clerk gives the intent of the bylaw. Councillor Hocking and Councillor Hudson. Vicky?
Thank you, Your Worship. Bylaw number 3367-25 is a bylaw to appoint inspectors under the Building Code Act. Bylaw 3368-25 is a bylaw to authorize the execution of a boundary adjustment agreement between the Corporation of the Town of Hanover and the Corporation of the Municipality of West Grey, as provided for under the Municipal Act.
Thank you. So it's been moved by Councillor Hocking, seconded by Councillor Hudson, that bylaw numbers 336725 and 336825 be introduced and that they be taken as read a first, second, and third time, finally passed, signed by the mayor and the clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and inserted in the bylaw book. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Item 14, we do not have any correspondence requiring action. And item 15, I'll ask if there's any notices of motion. And I don't see any hands. And item 16 is good news and celebrations. And before I start with Councillor Hudson, I have a message to read from Councillor Fleet. He says, I would like to thank council and all town staff for all of their support and encouragement as I face my health challenges. To the residents of Hanover, I would like to thank you for your ongoing support. I would like to wish everyone a happy holiday season and all the best in the new year. Harold. Councillor Hudson, anything to highlight or share?
Thank you, Your Worship. I would just like to thank the community for such wonderful attendance on the weekend of December the 6th. We had a sold-out breakfast with Santa at the Legion. Lots of happy faces, pictures, and wild and crazy sweaters, as well as the parade. A huge number of people showed up, and they all seemed to be in a very good mood. They were waving and wishing us all a Merry Christmas and, you know, all the good stuff that goes along with that. So the community spirit and the participation from all of the people was very much appreciated.
I think they were all waving at that wonderfully decorated town car by Vicky and Tanya. They did an excellent job on that. So you know, you'll get that job every year now. So Councillor Sacco.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I'd just like to follow up with Councillor Hudson's comments. Besides the breakfast that I was there as well, the Christmas market was wonderful, good weather, can't complain. Those ladies did an amazing job putting, getting all those vendors. And the beaver tails were a huge success, by the way. I'm really glad they took that risk because it was a risk for them. I've spoken with Heather Curran from the Rotary Club, and she's very happy with how things went in Heritage Square with all the fire pits, lots of people. I've seen positive comments on social media, which is wonderful. And a number of people came up to me and thanked us for what we did and all the volunteers that did the work in the community. So thank you very much, which reminds me of the kindness idea and the Coca-Cola Kindness Community Contest. Just a reminder to everyone, if you want to vote for us and give us a chance to win $100,000, your entries must be in by December the 31st, 2025. Go on hanover.ca for the details. Thank you.
Very good. Anyone else? Deputy Mayor Dickert.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just want to take the opportunity to wish all our residents and our staff and my fellow council team here all the best. Merry Christmas and prosperous New Year, and a special thanks to staff that are going to have to work through the Christmas break to keep everything running smoothly, and our first responders. We're in good hands. Thank you to everybody for that.
Councillor Hawking.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for hosting our Mayor's Top 5 presentation on Tuesday, and to OLG for their check of $1.287 million. I'd like to thank the community players for the School of Rock play. It looked like those children or young adults had a great time. And I want to wish everyone on the Hanover team a Merry Christmas and a healthy and prosperous 2026. Thank you. And I just want to, before I end, congratulate you, Your Worship, on your excellent presentation on Tuesday. I just sit there and admire your choice of words and highlight all the good things that are happening in our municipality. So thanks again on behalf of everyone for doing such a great job.
Thank you. There are lots of things happening in Hanover. So, okay, staff, Sherry.
Thank you. I want to thank our public works staff. They've had a lot of consecutive days of snow, although it isn't quite a lot like I shouldn't say that. We did have some good snowfalls over the last 10 days, but it's not quite the dumpings we had over last winter season. But, you know, I walked downtown at about 8:30 on Saturday morning, and I can say I was most impressed that there was no snowbanks on the main street. And I didn't notice on Friday. So I'm either thinking in my head, okay, they work through the night, Friday night, Saturday night, morning, should say, to clear those snowbanks, to which I confirmed that today. So thank you to our public works team. They are a small but mighty team who make sure that our roads and sidewalks are well maintained in the winter. And I also just want to note our holiday hours are on our website, as well as any garbage and recycling notes. And just a friendly reminder that a really great Town of Hanover subscribe update came out last Thursday that shared our various holiday hours. So if you're a resident who's listening and go, I'd like to get that message, then go to our website and subscribe, and you can have that sitting in your inbox and have it for reference for future notes. Thank you.
Very good. And I too would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and happy holidays. And here's to 2026. Exciting things are happening. Okay, item 17, upcoming committee meetings. Are there any changes? Councillor Hawking.
Gee whiz, you think I'd get it. Sorry. The 1710, the Saugeen Municipal Airport Commission meeting this Wednesday has been canceled, and our next meeting is January the 21st, 2026.
Yes, we'll all have to get used to writing 2026. Microphone. Thank you. Okay, important dates and announcements. Our next regular council meeting is Monday, January 12th, 2026. Where has the year gone? At 4 o'clock, of course. So, all right. Confirmation of proceedings bylaw. So I need a mover and seconder before I ask Vicky for the intent of the bylaw. Councillor Sackle and Councillor Hudson. Vicky?
Thank you, Your Worship. Bylaw number 3369-25 is a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the December 15th, 2025 Hanover Council meeting.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Sackle, seconded by Councillor Hudson, that bylaw number 336925 be introduced and taken as read a first, second, and third time, finally passed, signed by the mayor and the clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and inserted in the bylaw book. All in favor? That is carried. One final motion, and that is to adjourn at 6:39. Councillor Hawking, Deputy Mayor Dickert, all in favor. That is carried. Thank you.